Well, this is the skeleton of a pygmy sperm whale that stranded some years ago in the Azores, and very kindly the veterinary professor buried it and gave it to us, or rather lent it to us, and we've been trying to reconstruct it. Unfortunately, it was left in the ground rather a long time, so that the bones all got very porous, and I've had to sort of strengthen them and patent them, broke its jaw and all that. But it's quite good fun to put this together, and it's an added thing, because this is a sperm whale in that it used to be put in the family with the big sperm whale, but the pygmy sperm whale and the dwarf sperm whales were moved out into another family. They were largely put in the family because they had this big recess in the top of their skull with a spermaceti organ in it. The spermaceti was very different when I came to test it. It does actually freeze at high temperatures, but it's only 25 degrees instead of at 30 degrees. And by studying the nose, I found that it is used for a totally different purpose to buoyancy. It's used as a controller of the sound, and it's very sophisticated. Wonderful apparatus, because it only fits in the little back part, and yet it does an incredible sophisticated job of controlling sound production for sonar. However, we won't go into that, but it got me interested in this little whale, and I've looked at the food in the same way. They eat the same species of squid as the sperm whales, but smaller ones, and slightly different amounts.
Does that mean they do not dive that deep?
They do dive very deep. As far as we know, they're a deep diver, and everybody immediately have said, well, does this use this for buoyancy in the same way as the big one? And so one of the attacks of the theory on the big one was that the little one had a much smaller spermaceti sac, and it was in proportion to the body. It was too small to really control its buoyancy. So I was interested to look at its function, and its function certainly isn't buoyancy. It's the control of sound. And then the question is, well, if the sperm whale has this big problem with buoyancy, and this is going as deep, why isn't this having the same problem? Well, it's the nature of the physics that as you get bigger, the relationship of stability, which depends on volume, changes to instability, which depends on surface area, differently. So that a very big animal has much more problem if it loses its stability to get back to stable, because its surface area is less than its volume in relation to its volume. But so this, being a small animal, wouldn't have that problem, or very much less of a problem. So that's why it can use this from a different purpose. That's the more or less